Hi, everybody, and welcome back to episode 4 of Let's Talk Pole. I am Lacey Kelly. I am the owner and your host here at Pole and Aerial Fitness. And today we have Miss AnnMarie George. AnnMarie is one of our new front desk girls, as well as has been a student here at the studio for almost a year. A little over a year?
It's getting close to a year now. It's been, I believe, 10, 11 months.
11 months.
We're almost there.
You're almost at your pole anniversary.
Of course. And that means I get to treat myself with more pole.
Yay! I mean, every time a student gets pole at home, an angel gets their wings.
Yeah, of course. I think I did that around like 9 months in. I finally ended up getting a new pole for my house because it's just, you learn a lot here and you can take those elements home, and it's just easier to be able to come home from work, still in your work clothes, and then practice.
So tell me, let's start from like the absolute beginning. How did you find us?
So it was actually at my job. I was discussing with a coworker, and we were discussing like abnormal sports. So we were talking about like, out of country sports there aren't exactly considered the same here. And pole was one of those sports because it is a very intense fitness workout. I mean, I just watching the videos, I was like, I cannot bend my body in that way. I cannot hold my weight like that. So her and I were joking about it, and we looked up studios, and she found this one, and then she was like, wouldn't it be fun if we just dove right in? And I was like, sometimes I just need to do something new. And I have actually thought about pole for a while because, of course. I mean, what else can you do when it comes to going to a studio? I mean, it's something new. You just kind of have to throw yourself in the water and learn how to swim. So we ended up coming to a class. Her and I came together, and it was interesting. It wasn't as fitness oriented, which was something I was, very into. So I ended up doing one of your classes Thursday night, and you were heavily on fitness, improvement, things like that. And that's kind of what I strive for in my own personal goals. If you are more into other things, I completely respect that and I care for it. But for me, I have terrible upper body strength. Everything was in my legs. I was a figure skater, so everything was always in my legs. I was looking for something fun because hanging from a door trying to build upper body strength isn't fun. Doing pull-ups in a gym, not very fun.
I get them all the time. They're really not that fun.
The struggle of your arms slowly shaking, trying to pull yourself up in front of, just wasn't something for me. So after I came to your class, I was like, this was so much fun. And my body I felt like a disabled doll the next day. I was like, every muscle in me worked. It worked hard for the first time in years. It worked really hard. Yes. So I was very excited. I came back. I bought a class pack immediately because, hey, save money. Deals are great. So I bought a class pack immediately, and I started consistently coming back to the studio. My coworker drove away from it. She still comes when she can, but she's very busy. But I have a pole for my house now, so that tells you how far I've pushed for this. And I'm also planning on doing competition with this soon. So it's very important to realize that, things take time. But in the beginning, I was having fun, but I was sore. And it's
what do they say? Pole is hard.
Yeah.
It takes an awful lot of work to make it look easy and effortless.
Of course, yeah.
Like, so many people I know go to the strip clubs and they're like, yeah, that looks easy. Like they sit on their couch and they've got their Funyuns and their diet soda, and they're like judging all of these ladies and what they're doing on like the America Got Talent and those types of things. And I'm like, bitch, if you knew how much work that actually was, if you knew how much control it takes to like hold your entire body weight off the ground for an extended period of time, and then they do finally come in or they swing around the pole that I have at my place, they're like, wow, it's a lot harder than I thought it would be. I'm like, oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, my boyfriend never doubted for an instant that like any of the moves were hard, but I dragged him here on my birthday. That was my birthday gift to me. I dragged him here, and he never used his legs. So technique didn't matter. He just pulled himself up. But granted, he works out besides this. But he pulled himself up, and then he was like, "Yeah, this sucks. This is hard."
It's
He's
hard.
like, and I was like, "Yeah, why do you think because you did a workshop. It's Stripper 101, and there's things called lazy stripper moves, so that you don't have to do as much effort, so you can get more time. I mean, it takes so much stuff, takes so much time. I mean, he was worn, but he also pushed. He's a guy, so he was like, I want to climb.
Yeah.
You don't start climbing. That's not.
Not in the first.
You get your foot in the water, and he's just like throwing himself at it because he's like, he's like, it's not too bad.
Yeah, because he only came for the one class.
Yeah.
The one class, he's like, and I hate to say it, but pole really, like the fitness portion of pole is much easier for men because men have a higher center of gravity. And they're designed to do more lifting and more pulling with their upper bodies. So to lift your own body weight for men, it's for, I can't even say most men. Okay, maybe men. But yeah, if they have any sense of workout on a regular basis, then yeah, pull is going to come very easy and fluid. Maybe not all the flexibility and stuff, but all the strength moves, men it just comes so much easier. It's like it's a little irritating because I'm like, I had to work for 6 months to get a flagpole. Yeah. And here my 17-year-old son just goes right into it.
Yeah, he's just up there. I always say you'll never look as elegant doing it. Because technique, you're struggling. You can pull yourself up, but you can't, and men have less flexibility anyway, so, they can't do all the pretty moves that are very fun to record.
Yeah.
They can just climb up. I'm like, yeah, I can climb up a lamppost too.
Have you started getting tagged in things by your friends yet?
Like, yes, I've been sent things.
Yeah.
And I also, there was one of the instructors here did a event at a place, and she posted about it, and I was sent videos by the people who frequent that place. And do you know her? I'm like, I mean, I do, funny enough, but I don't know every aerialist and polist out there. And it's like, can you do this? Do you know this person? I'm like, no, I can't upside down hold myself with 2 toes. They do that for a living.
I can't even hold myself upside down with 2 toes.
I actually pass out if I go upside down. I don't know if you remember that. Like, that's not how that works. No. But I mean, if you can hold me in place like a little like doll, like a marionette, maybe.
So tell me what it was like the first time that you actually came to the studio. Like, what were you thinking? Where was your head? Like, was it morning? Was it evening? Like, set the stage for me.
Set the stage. So it was evening. The sun was getting to that, it was kind of that evening hour. I walked in because the first 2 classes I did with my coworker, her and it was more of a feel yourself class. It wasn't a pole class. So I'd consider my first time ever really pulling with technically my 3rd class with Lacey, because I was actively working with the pole. Going to the studio and having like an emotional moment is wonderful for people, but for me, I just, it wasn't my thing. So my first feeling going into the pole class, where, in the description, you read the description over and over and over again, you're like, can I do this? It's like a beginner class, but it's like, can I do this? Is it like beginner friendly? Like, I've never even touched one. So getting, it was, sun was setting, I get into the parking lot, I'm in my car, I'm like, I was by myself. That was the big thing. I was by myself. It was like, I was there and I was like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? Like, I kept thinking about it over and over and over again. And I'm so happy I made that choice to walk in. As soon as I walked in, I mean, friendly faces everywhere. The girl behind the front desk, Amanda, absolutely lovely, made me feel so welcomed, so cared for, helped me with anything I absolutely needed. I walk into the class and the instructor is talking to everyone. Personable, so lovely. And she's right here, so I'm not paid to say this, guys. But she was absolutely amazing. It made me feel so comfortable because I honestly, if you like flicked me, I'd probably fall over from the lack of muscle I have. So it was so nice every move she taught had a variation. If I couldn't hold myself up, we would do something on the ground. I never felt left out, and I never felt uncomfortable. She made everything easy, and that's what I appreciated the most. And everyone was nice. I mean, I have a couple people on Instagram that I met in the classes that we ended up connecting over the studio. So if you ever like, oh, no one's gonna come with me, whatever, all that stuff, there's people here who will come with you. There's people here who are looking for a friend to like do pole with, because some people aren't comfortable doing this, and that's completely okay because of the stigma behind it. Pole is a whole separate aspect from what everyone's made it to be. So I can understand why that's scary or intimidating or something you might not want to associate yourself with, but it is very, depending on what you want to do, it's so different. And that's why I like the fitness aspect behind this whole thing. I mean, I couldn't be more grateful for a sport than this one. I mean, my first time ever walking in here, I walked in nervous, scared, not knowing what to expect, and I walked out happier than I'd been in months. I mean, I felt so good and so happy that I could finally like work on myself in a positive environment. No one judged me. No one judges me for falling. No one judges me for slipping or screwing up or not doing something right. You're never doing something wrong. You are doing misplacements in your hands, but that's only to avoid injury. But you are still learning. So you're not doing anything wrong. You're just being taught in a different direction. You can never do anything wrong. You can just learn and improve. Like my favorite saying is love yourself enough to improve yourself.
That's good. To take that little sliver and put it right up there with the one Elle said. You know Elle. Elle's another student here.
Another friend.
Yeah. So when Elle came on in our first episode, she said nothing is impossible. It just depends on how many tries it takes. I'm like, I'm gonna have to put that one like right up there in a little cloud with that saying. That's
After
good.
every little podcast, you're gonna start putting notes on here of things we've said.
Yeah, just start writing it on the chalkboard behind you.
Get like one of those like schoolyards and start pointing. Like, this is what she said that one time. This is the other time.
Kind of like my Stripper 101. My Stripper 101 promo.
Yeah.
Just a teacher like they're looking very sexy but very stern. Like this is how you manipulate a man.
Yeah. The easy way, because we don't want to put in effort.
Right. We want low effort, maximum exposure.
Exactly.
That's funny.
It's literally the theme I'm going for the competition coming up is.
How are you feeling about that now? So right now it is July 17th, 18th?
18th.
And our competition at PSO in Orlando is August 17th. So we are under a month. How are you feeling in regards to your preparation for competition?
So a big thing a lot of people struggle with is social anxiety. Who would have guessed? People are scary, especially people with opinions. But, as a lot of time, as I've gone through my healing and my learning and growing and maturing, because when I was younger, I was stupid. Everyone is.
We all
That's
are.
the fun part about being super young.
Is you get to be stupid.
And as long as it doesn't follow you for the rest of your life, you're good. As long as it's not a major decision.
Right.
So as I've gone through those experiences and getting better, I've learned that opinions aren't always negative. Just because someone tells you something, it's not a negative. It's just a way that they would do it, or a way that maybe they think a judge would see it, or maybe the way that someone else would see it. Or, if you do something and it's a little wonky looking, you could be honest, just say like, I really love the follow a criticism with a compliment. A compliment to a criticism is the best way you can handle people who aren't sure about, who are worried about something. This is the first competition. I haven't even done a showcase.
No, you haven't.
I have not.
Like, I'm jumping in.
I said, don't throw me in the water and hope I swim.
Yeah, like you signed up for the It Factor class. And I don't think it took very long after, I think you came to 2 It Factor classes, which It Factor class is a class that I essentially help students that have never performed before learn how to build their choreography, how to see their performances from an outside perspective, how to visualize music so that you know where to place your big pieces, It's all about musicality, emotion, dramatics, facial expression, audience participation, judging, like the whole nine. Like it's a whole. It's not just a class. It's like a 3-month program. So we started this back in May. So we're on May, June, July now, and we're gonna run it all the way through PSO, just so everybody has a very specific allotted amount of time that they are already committed to continue to grow their performance and nip and tuck everything right up until the very last minute. But AnnMarie took the first couple classes, and then you went away for a weekend and saw a performance. Where did you go? Rockville?
Yes, I went to Rockville. And during Rockville, I looked up a performance, and it was like this like creepy performance where, because like I'm very into like horror and creepy stuff, like crows, whatever. And so I saw
this. Crows?
Yeah, I crows. It's just it sets the tone. If you see any movie and you see crows, you assume it's a graveyard or someone's dead.
Yeah.
So crows are very in that aspect.
Okay.
But
they're your jam.
Yeah.
Crows are your jam.
Exactly. So I saw this and I was like, that looks like fun. I have terrible social anxiety. I've never performed pole before. I've never done a showcase. And I spent a bunch of money and bought a ticket, and now I'm gonna perform.
Perfect.
So, I mean, how else would you do it?
I mean, I'm an all-in kind of rip Band-Aid off kind of girl, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I'm doing dramatic, so the category is still focused on moves, but it's not as heavily about intent. Like, you know, if I slightly mess up, it might look like it's a part of the performance, and you can play off of it, and it's fun. My sister, love her to death, she did theater. Okay. So she always inspired me. She did like creepy shows, and it was a lot of fun, and I would sit with her while she made props and costumes. So it's like, you know, and during figure skating, you know, you perform, you show, you know, it was just a lot more elegant and restricted. You couldn't have as much fun, but here you can have plenty of fun. I mean, you can pull an idea out of a hat and be like, that's the one.
That's the beautiful thing about showcases and competitions is with competitions, like you're given boxes to fit in, but you're given artistic freedom to perform within those boxes. Whereas like showcases, like you're given a theme and you can go balls to the wall in that theme. I'm really excited because we have it'll be our 3rd annual Halloween Heroes versus Villains competition in October. Our winner last year, Pixie. Woo-wee! Good Lord, that girl put on a performance. And even the year before. So last year's winner was a pole performer. The year before was a lyric performer. But it's so cool, like when we give themes, like the Heroes versus Villains, it's so cool because some people choose to play a hero. Some people choose to theme out as a villain. And I don't know why, but the villains just speak to me. Like the villains, it's like, how can I be dark and dirty and seductive, but at the same time a little murderous and a little mysterious? And
those are more lean towards my vibes too. I mean, that's the whole theme that I stick to usually. Is just like, if I can kill someone in this, I'm gonna have a great time. It's such a performance. Like that's that's we're here to perform. So like it's such a moment, you know, hey, like, you know, especially if like you have a human prop or if you have something else going on, it's such a performance to finally have one of those boom moments, like one of those go moments, like killing someone or getting angry. That's why like villains and anti-heroes, they always have spoken to me in the sense of they're always more interesting. Criminal psychology, that's what that's what I did, and it was very interesting. So anything in that aspect, horror, criminal psychology, you know, it's like a whole thing.
Have you found any piece of preparing for this competition to be the most difficult?
I would say confidence. Confidence has been the most difficult part because I have very loving and supporting people here at the studio who would do anything to help me, and I was very fortunate. Amanda, like you said, you meet friends here that will take you places. I met Amanda. She's a front desk girl here as well. So she helped me with that. So I just started going with her and I was like, she can move her body in ways that I didn't even know were humanly possible.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't even know muscles
insane.
existed there. So I like see her move and it's just like that muscle works. That moves. So I was like, who else to go to than her?
Mhm.
So she's been helping me and one of the things is I look good doing it if I was confident. Like it looks good, but I just need that confidence to add that layer because it's like the performance and going through all of it, it looks good and it's a good idea and everything's great and it's perfect right now. But I'm not confident. So like my head like doesn't move the way it needs to. My body doesn't flow. It's just I'm stiff. It's like if you took a stick and just moved it.
It's because you're dancing from here.
Yeah.
And we need to stop dancing from here and start dancing from here.
Mm-hmm.
If what turns you on about performing is the murderous or the siren-esque perspective, we can't think through that. You can't. Like if you're gonna lure a man to his death by way of singing, it's not gonna be from memorizing the words or memorizing the steps. So it has to be body language. So when we start talking about feeling more confident in our performances, the best thing we can do for that is to literally look ourselves in the face and do it. Like face the mirror when you're doing it. See how your face looks. See how your body looks. Look at where your lines are and ask yourself, is that giving off the perspective that you're trying to give off? Like if you're a seductress, do your eyes say it? Do your chest say it? Do you say it with the flip of your hair? Like you have to get more comfortable with yourself in that aspect, which is another part of what these competitions, what these showcases are all about. It's all about pulling what's in here out and allowing ourselves to become that, because that is it's a portion of who we are. Well, those of us who have performing in our DNA, it's a portion of who we are. So like that's your homework.
I know.
I'm excited for you. That's your homework over the next 2 weeks, is to just go see if you can make this emulate what's in here.
The idea is like for me it's like I wrote books. I had fun doing that. I always had the concept. I never had my friends were artists. My friends did theater. They played everything out. I just wrote it. So it's now I'm the one who has to play everything out. And it's fun. I mean, it's like as anxious as it is, it's fun because confidence tends to come later in life for people. I'm only 19, so I'm at that age where it's like, I grew up not really with social media because my mom dragged me away from it because I had to play war with my brother because I didn't have another sibling. So, but we tend to overlook things. We tend to stare. Why don't I look like that? Why don't I act like that? Why is this wrong? Why is this wrong? You tend to put yourself into the cookie cutter shapes that you consistently see over and over and over again. And you forget that I always say, like, I'm my mother's face. I'm insulting my mother. I'm insulting everything about her. If I say I don't like my eyes, I don't like my nose, I don't like my mouth, I don't like my hair, ask my mom. And I love my mom, and I would never tell my mom that. I would never say that to her. So that's how I've learned in my journey to love myself. And why would I take away my mom from me? Anytime anyone looks at me, they're like, you look like your mom. You look like your mom. If I changed myself, no one would say that to me anymore. I can never say, well, you can't say she kidnapped me. I can never make those jokes anymore. So it's like as time has gone on, that's how I've fallen in love with who I am, is because I look at my mom and I think she's beautiful.
She is beautiful.
Yeah, she's a bodybuilder. I mean, imagine growing up with that. I
mean, a beautiful, intelligent, kind human being that just when the first time I ever met her in person, she walked in, we were discussing some merchandising or something, and she's just like, I just want to thank you. Like, you don't realize just how much the space in the studio has really saved my daughter. I just really want to say thank you for being a part of that. And thank you for helping her. And I was like, girl, I didn't realize your daughter was as young as she was. And she's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I was like, no, your daughter is so mentally much more, like, she's just older. Like, I can't get
Yeah.
over it. Like, there's no way she's 19. How did that happen? Like, she's so wicked smart. She's like, well, thank you. That's great. I'm like, obviously it came from you. Obviously she's
Mhm.
learning something. So like, I can't take credit for it. I can just help like mentor her and guide her in the forward direction as best as I can. It's my absolute pleasure to do, because I absolutely adore you. You are just everything.
I walked in and I never walked out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's she was always, she's my best friend. She was, I have a stepfather, so that indicates as you expect. So she was like kind of all I had. And she raised me, she took care of me. I mean, my stepdad was great, just he was the military.
Mhm.
He's very open shut, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Right.
just as a little girl who doesn't understand what's going on and has had a door slammed in her face by the other parent. It was just she was my best friend. It was me, her, my brother. I had a stepsister. She was fantastic. I couldn't have been happier for her. I saw a stepbrother. My stepsister, all of them were just lovely. And I couldn't be more thankful for the guidance that she's and the knowledge. I mean, I tell her crazy stuff and she's like, why do you get involved with that? She's like, you're so much more than that. And so I started, that was something I'd write. I like writing. I have a journal. I mean, I have to stay away from Spirit Halloween because I love all their journals. And I haven't even finished the first two I have.
I think that's pretty common for all of us. Like all of us performers, we're like, ooh, costume.
I mean, their eyeliner lasts me like 2 years. I go there and I buy like a bowl.
Good to know. Good
Yeah.
to know. That's funny. So I have a question. When it comes to, because you're in your first year and it's still relatively new to you, have you found that a way to kind of balance, because there is a lot of stigma when it comes to pole, because you do tend to follow more of a fitness regimen with pole than like a sexual or an exotic or anything else. Have you found a way to like happily balance what you're doing here with the rest of your life and the judgment that comes with it?
Yeah, so I actually met my boyfriend before I started doing pole. So a lot of people, hey, like my boyfriend probably wouldn't like that. My boy, this, that, whatever. I told him
a lot of that.
Yes, I've seen and I've spoken to a few people, and it makes me very.
Partners are bullshit.
Yeah,
If you're with somebody that doesn't support you and the things that you love, fucking leave them.
I do not tolerate that. It's sad how many people are so judgment oriented. But my boyfriend immediately I said it's pole and aerial fitness. Pole and aerial fitness. It is going to be pole and aerial and fitness. I can break it down for you. I can do the spelling like a kindergartner. And he was just like, I don't know why you're doing this. He's like, I don't care. He's like, you could go do whatever you want. He's like, if you're making money or you're doing whatever you want to do, do it. And he came to the studio, like I said earlier. He's going to be in my competition as my human prop. He's going to be in front of people getting murdered. And he's okay with it.
I love that it's our favorite people in the world that we're like, can you come help me do this? Can I kill you on stage? Yeah. It's only fake.
I told him he had to kick me over, and he was just like, am I going to get beat afterwards for that?
Aww.
No. I said, as long as you don't give me a bruise. But he would never. But no, it was just something that, like, he was so happy that I got into something I love. He always asks, he's like, show me your progress. And anytime I send him a video, I could be wearing a thong and he would never talk about it. He would just be like, you've improved so much. I love watching your fitness journey with it. He just only talks about that. He will never go into detail about anything else. Unless, like, I hint at it, but, he'll never go into detail about anything else. And he's so respectful. And everyone worries about their families. My grandmother is accepting. And that says a lot. My grandmother, old generation.
Old generation Russian.
Yes. She
I have to know, what do you call your grandmother?
I call her grandma. Babushka is how you
Babushka! I love it. That's all I wanted to hear.
Yeah. That's just such a cute little, because my babushka, she was amazing. She that's how, because I have my biological father is the Russian side of my family, and then my mother, regular. She's German, but doesn't really get involved with any of that. But she that side of the family was they're not around anymore. Passed away. My dad just isn't in my life. I refuse to let him in my life. And that's another thing about loving yourself. Love yourself enough to improve yourself. Sometimes improving yourself is cutting people out of your life. So the other side of my family was, oh yeah. Sometimes that negativity just needs to be set aside. And my other side of my family, they're rich. They just were. My grandpa, it was the silent generation. It was women weren't allowed to speak, things like that. So my grandma, whenever she found out, because I didn't even tell her. I didn't even want to, she doesn't like tattoos, but she's like, your tattoos are pretty. She's gotten easier with it. But when she found out, she's like, what is it? She's like, it's not strimping. She's like, what is it? And I was like, and she's like, how did you even get into it? Like, are you okay? Because, in her head, she's thinking other things. And I'm like, no, I actually am up all night on my computer. I'm not at the club. And I was like, I found it through a coworker, and I realized it was helping my body because I struggled with some medical issues and some issues improving, and like just this long journey, and exercises weren't working for me. Gym wasn't working for me. I had creepy experiences. It's just, there wasn't a safe environment for me to work on myself. And at the time, we didn't have the home gym that we have now that my mother has very fortunately made because she's a bodybuilder. Just benefits me too. What's hers is mine. But as I started working here and working on the fitness in this safe place, it was just so much easier to improve myself and who I was. And that's why, my boyfriend is so loving and accepting about it. He doesn't care what I'm doing anyway. I mean, Amanda has a twerk class. I told him about that. And he was like, show me how to do it. I mean, he
This benefits me too.
Yeah, he did the lap dance class, and someone told him, I think you said something about doing the splits, and he just jumped off and did the splits.
He did. Like, we were doing it in that beginner class. Well, not splits, but
yeah, he can almost full on do the splits.
Yeah, he could.
That's ridiculous. I can't. So good for him. And so but what I was saying was with everyone, my grandma, I explained to her how it's helping my health, and she just sat there for a while, probably taking it in. Saw a new tattoo on my arm, probably was taking that in too. It took her thinking a little longer. And then she was like, I'm glad it's helping you, and if you need anything, just let me know about the studio and about needs, because she's a very kind woman. She's just older generation, things were different. And so she was just like, and I told her, since the studio is also near their house, I can come from here to there to here, and she's been nothing but loving and accepting about it. I couldn't be more thankful. She hasn't said anything negative after I've explained it to her. I don't know what she said before, because I mean, this isn't, especially for her generation, this is not common as a sport. And she's not European, because if anyone knows, if European countries are way more accepting towards these sports. It's a sport. It is nothing else. It is a sport to them. So mainstream media in other countries are very different from everything here. Pole is a sport. Aerial is a sport. Everything like that. I mean, pole is a harder fight than aerial, because aerial is kind of more you think circus. Pole, you think making money in ways.
Actually, the last episode that we did for this podcast was with Elena, and Elena's straight from Russia. Mm-hmm. And she's been in the United States for 9 years. Her accent is deliciously thick. I love it. But I asked her, I was like, is it as sexualized over there as it is here? And she was like, Russia's not as religious as everybody seems to think it is. Yeah. What they put on the news is not the truth. She goes, think about it. Pole dancers wear tiny bras and panties. Gymnasts wear tiny bras and panties. Figure skaters wear tiny bras and panties. The circus, they wear everything nude, so they look like they're wearing tiny bras and panties. Do you think anybody's thinking about masturbation when it comes to that? And I was like, I don't even know what to say to that right now.
Well, and it's also like nudity is more accepted in other countries where it's not as closeted. Like if you are on the beaches in America during like especially Florida out of season, a lot of Europeans will come to Florida out of season because they really like the hot summers. Germans, I've seen Germans fully get changed on the beach. And they just around their family, friends, it's it's walking into the bathroom to ask your mom a question and she's about to get into the shower. Nobody cares. It's just widely accepted. It's very interesting. Because that's how my family. I mean, that's how it is with my mom. I mean, it's just if I need her, it's there, and it's just it's a body. It's a human body, and it's something that should be loved and protected and cared for. But it's like I am looking at her face. To me, it's not sexual because we're related, and also with friends. Like when you have a really good if you have like two good girl best friends, you get changed in front of each other. If you have two guys, I mean, they get changed in front of each other too. You have male locker rooms. I mean, it's just, but a girl wearing skimpy clothing, suddenly the world's ending.
Yeah.
And nobody puts it into the perspective of every day there's relationships and friendships where you're allowed to do that, but it's society that dampens it as an overall thing. Because if you get on a pole fully clothed, tell me how far you get.
All the way down.
Actually,
all the way to the floor.
And if you try and do certain moves, because sure, you can climb a pole, you can get a silicone pole, there's ways around it, don't get me wrong. But try and do really intense competitions where they don't have that, and you have to flip upside down. Your thigh meat is grabbing that pole. You want us to cut holes in our shorts in the certain spots where we have anchors and just hope that those anchors hit? Because there was actually with the competition I'm going to, PSO, they're not allowed to wear thongs anymore not because PSO wants it, because there's religious camps in the area that yelled at the hotel over and over and over again.
Wow.
Deeming us as terrible people, and we're trying to convert, and that we're all, I'm not going to say any terrible terms towards us because that is not what we are, and we are just there to perform and have fun. But they said horrible things because we want to be able to do the sport we love, and we can't be clothed to do that. We can be clothed, but we can't be in a nun outfit. I mean, we can't sweatpants and shorts. We can't.
All the important parts and pieces are covered.
Yep.
And that's what's important. When I opened my first studio up north in Indiana, I remember all of the hoops I had to jump through to open a studio. And I'm like, there are yoga studios, Pilates studios, all sorts of other kinds of studios, aerial studios that maybe had like a little sprinkle of pole, but not a pole studio. So when I actually, because the county that I come from is very Republican, and unfortunately about 20 years behind the rest of the world. They don't know that. Don't tell them.
Yeah.
Nothing ever changes there.
Yeah.
But I had to go in front of the city. I had to go in front of boards. I had to explain to them, like, listen, I'm not pulling your precious Christian daughters out of their beds in the middle of the night and giving them a coke addiction and slinging them up on the pole. Like, that's not what we're doing here. Like, that is not the reality of the situation. The situation is, this is a place where we can come together as women, work on ourselves, both mentally, emotionally, and physically, and have fun while we do it, and build relationships together and feel better about ourselves. And you'd have thought that I was like the villain of all villains right before I opened. Like, they slashed my windows and everything. Like, it was terrible.
Oh yeah.
It was terrible. I thought for sure, I'm like, this isn't going to happen. I'm not going to get to open this studio. And then finally it did. God, that was a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I can't even imagine the type of journey you had to go through for that, because like I'm into heavy metal music, so I went to rock festival, as we were saying earlier, and we had people on the streets trying to convince us that we were terrible people and we were going to steal their children. And
because you went to a rock concert.
Yeah, and I'm like, none of the performances were even, I mean, in this moment, I mean, her performances can get a little janky, but I love her, and I'm using one of her songs to my performance, so It's just like, why do people care so much? Just let people be people. If you don't understand it, you can love it and accept it. Because I don't understand a lot of the things that they do, like sitting on a corner and trying to convince people that we're terrible.
Yeah.
A lot of metalheads are Christian. And even some of my friends who come to this studio are Christian. They are heavily religious. And one of the most respectful people I know has his entire body is tattooed in religious tattoos. And he is nothing but interested in this whole space. And in a good way. He's like, it's a fitness. This is interesting. I've never heard of this before. It's interesting. Him and I talking, it's very respectful and interesting. And he's very highly religious.
And we've got a couple of instructors here that are
Mhm.
whole and are very God-fearing. They're very devoted to
Mhm.
their religion, and they're very devoted to their church, and they're very respectful to
Mhm.
absolutely everybody here, and we are all equally as respectful to them. That is not something that's going to separate us from each other, because we have, even if we do have differences in religions or differences in opinions, like that's not what we're here to do. We're here to enjoy ourselves and enjoy pole and support each other.
That's, and that's the biggest thing with this community is like it's a whole community. It's a group of people who a lot of, if you look at anyone who's here or meet anyone who's here, we all have weird things we like. And society deems it weird. There's nothing wrong with liking niche things. I've always said that. When I use the word weird, I mean society thinks it's weird. I don't think it's weird. I like trinkets. I like video games. I like all this weird stuff, creepy, crows, whatever. But that doesn't mean anything different. A lot of people in this studio you'll find are the people you're looking for to be friends with. Genuine, honest, caring, supportive, loving, into those niche little things that you'd never expect. And no one's gonna judge you. This is where you become confident, is because you're not weird here, because everyone is. This is
We're like a whole collection of misfits that just happen to fit together.
I think of the Russian dolls where you take them off and it's just a smaller doll and you take it off and it's a smaller. That's just what I think of every time. I'm just like talking to Amanda. I mean, I went to her house and I was just overstimulated with joy. She had all these crazy little niche things that I absolutely love, and it's just like if you speak to any person here, you'll eventually see their body go, "Oh my God, you know that?" And then that's it. You're friends. You have someone to go to the studio with. You have someone to talk to about your writing or your bobbleheads. Everyone's into different things that are something that you would never expect. Everyone at the studio is looking for a place to feel not different. They're looking for a place to feel like the same color. Like we're all blue.
So if you were to give somebody who's never been here before, or someone who's never tried pole at all, no matter where in the world they are, what would you tell them?
I would definitely tell them that, I mean, I would go with my mindset, throw yourself in the water, hope you swim. If you're interested in
What was that one more time?
just throw yourself in the water and hope you swim.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just the best way to
just go ahead and drown. Like it's fine. You'll be fine.
Exactly. If you're thinking about doing pole, do it.
Do it.
What's stopping you? That's something that I learned over time. Is like when I thought about changing my appearance because I wanted to get something done to my face, I was like, who am I doing it for? I have a boyfriend, I have a family, I have friends. And I'm not even doing it for myself because it's a face. Like I'm not even doing it for myself because I'm never gonna see it unless I'm in the mirror. So who am I doing it for? So who are you doing it for? Yourself. You're doing something out of your comfort zone, because if you see any studies about people doing things out of their comfort zone, they tend to do more things out of their comfort zone and they have less anxiety the more they do things they're not used to. It's a real thing. It's why a lot of people, daredevils exist. And so if you've never been here and you want guidance, you'll find it. You'll find it in the studio. You just have to make the push to open the door. There's going to be someone there that you're going to love and you're going to stick to. There's plenty of options. I mean, from start to finish, from fitness to sensual to twerking to fun to even we have classes for kids here. I mean, what's more fun than a kid looking at a corkscrew? I mean, the aerial spiral pole, kids are like, they have more fun than they know what to do with. And then they see the pole and they're like, this is interesting. Because once again, in Europe, it's a sport. I'm not talking this is a sport. Kids are allowed to learn. It's like gymnastics. It's like if they can do anything in the circus, they can climb a lamppost. That's always what I compare it to. Kids climb trees. You think they don't want to climb poles? Doesn't mean you are the one making it sexual. That's the thing. You need to disconnect. If you think a kid being on a pole is sexual, there's a lot deeper stuff that you need to think about.
That says a lot about
you. There's nothing, and being on a pole can be sexual for adults who are interested in sensual flow classes or sensual classes in general. If you are interested in those, throw yourself into it. I promise you, the only thing you're going to get is your eardrums being filled with screaming. Because they're going to be so excited. Yeah. That's every class.
Love you.
Yeah. I love you too, Lacey. Well,
I absolutely want to say thank you for hopping on and vibing out with me and just talking about pole. This is, I feel like this is all I do ever. I just talk to everybody. Everybody knows what I do. I talk to everybody about pole. I try to talk everybody into pole or aerial or silks or whatever else there is to possibly talk you into anything that's going to help make you a little bit more healthy.
I feel like a recruiter.
You should be. You absolutely
I
should
definitely, be. I mean, I've convinced 4 people from my work to come here, so.
Perfect.
I'm already on the track.
What do they call that? Drinking the Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
Have you drank the Kool-Aid?
Yeah. I'm just like, oh yeah, I do this. Oh, I do that. Hey, there's class. You should, I'm going to be here on this day.
Yes, you should
come. And then you should buy a class pack because you get percentages off. And it's fun.
And it's fun. That's the best part.
Yeah.
It's like, it's truthfully, like I had somebody in class today. It was her very first class she'd never taken, and she took a lyric class, a hoop class. She was like, I can't get over how much fun this is.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And you're in a class, it's just you right now. Like, wait till the, season comes back and there's more people, and like you actually get to like work off of other people's energy, and then you get all this serotonin and all this dopamine rush when you're done with class, and all you want to do is like talk about it and go do it again.
And you like never know you're working out. That is the best part, is you don't know you're working out. And you're improving your mental health, your physical health, just by having fun. That's the best part. The absolute best part is that you improve so much by having fun. Because every class you come to is a joy. It is just so much fun. Even if it's just you and the instructor. I'm sure the instructor has some really crazy stories to tell you.
I feel like all I ever do is tell y'all some crazy stories.
Like, do you know about him? Wait. Let me recap you. And then they're like, I know you know, but do you know?
Have I mentioned this?
Yeah. I haven't? Okay, well, here's
let me
the warm-up. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you all about it.
You're like, oh, well, we'll work on this, but then I'll tell you.
Yes. Let's get you focused in, get you stretched out, warmed up, and conditioned and ready. Let's learn something. But I'm going to entertain you the whole time.
Basically a stand-up comedian.
Yep. Well, I absolutely love and adore you. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting and letting us learn a little bit more about Miss AnnMarie and our new front desk girl. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we take off?
I think the only thing I'd like to say is if you're thinking about doing it, do it. And if you are nervous about how you look or how you feel, there's a class for you. There's always someone for you. From silks to aerial to spiral to pole, there is always something here for you at the Pole and Aerial Fitness Studio with Lacey as the owner and every wonderful instructor here. Please take it into consideration. It has helped me more than anything as a social reject my whole life. Super anxious, making terrible choices, to fully loving myself, being more than happy, and wonderful mental and physical health. I mean, my mother even saw it, and mothers know best. So keep that in mind and love yourself enough to improve yourself. And it's been an absolute pleasure to talk about my experiences and talk about pole, because I love talking about it, and to just be here. So thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. Well, guys, stay tuned. this is the end of this episode, but there will always be more. Coming up next, we have Mr. Turtle himself, my ex. He's going to give us a full explanation and breakdown of what it was like dating a streamer. I can't say that word out loud. Have a wonderful night, guys. Mwah. I love you. Take care.
Bye.